Forged in the Flames, Unraveling the Origins of the Cold War, 1945 to 1947. The smoldering ruins of World War II laid bare the scars of a conflicted world, setting the stage for a new and ominous chapter in history, the Cold War. As the dust settled, the once united wartime allies found themselves ensnared in a web of conflicting ideologies, territorial disputes, and competing visions for the post-war world. This video embarks on a journey through the tumultuous years of 1945 to 1947, unraveling the intricate tapestry of events that gave birth to the Cold War. The seeds of discord were sown in the differing ideologies that animated the wartime alliance. The alliance between the United States, the Soviet Union, and the United Kingdom against the Axis powers was one of necessity, not ideological harmony. The ideological chasm between communism and capitalism, between the command economy of the Soviet Union and the free market principles of the Western Allies, became increasingly apparent as victory over the Axis powers neared. At the heart of this ideological divergence were the conflicting visions for the post-war world. The Yalta Conference of 1945, where leaders from the US, the UK, and the Soviet Union convened to discuss the post-war order, was a crucible of contention. While the leaders presented a united front against Nazi Germany during the conference, underlying tensions simmered. The division of Germany and the establishment of spheres of influence in Eastern Europe became flashpoints that would ignite the Cold War. The unraveling of unity was further exacerbated by the death of President Franklin D. Roosevelt in April 1945. Roosevelt's successor, Harry S. Truman, lacked the personal rapport and diplomatic finesse that had characterized Roosevelt's interactions with Soviet Premier Joseph Stalin. Truman's administration harbored a more skeptical view of Soviet intentions, setting the stage for a shift in U.S. foreign policy. The Potsdam Conference of 1945, held shortly after Germany's surrender, exposed the widening gulf between the Western Allies and the Soviet Union. The division of Germany into occupation zones and the issue of reparations laid bare the irreconcilable differences in their visions for the reconstruction of Europe. The ideological and geopolitical fault lines became increasingly apparent, foreshadowing the fractures that would define the Cold War era. The atomic bomb, a symbol of unprecedented destructive power, added a volatile element to the emerging Cold War dynamics. The successful testing of the atomic bomb by the United States in 1945 shifted the balance of power and fueled American confidence. The subsequent use of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki underscored the United States' willingness to employ this new weapon of mass destruction, sending a clear message to the Soviet Union. The advent of the nuclear age intensified the arms race, as both superpowers sought to bolster their arsenals with ever more powerful and sophisticated weapons. The specter of mutually assured destruction became a grim reality, casting a long shadow over international relations and amplifying the tensions between the United States and the Soviet Union. The Truman Doctrine, enunciated in 1947, marked a significant turning point in U.S. foreign policy and solidified the ideological contours of the Cold War. Truman's doctrine framed the conflict as a struggle between democracy and communism, committing the United States to support nations resisting communist aggression. This ideological framework laid the foundation for the subsequent policy of containment, defining the parameters of U.S. foreign policy for decades to come. The Marshall Plan, unveiled in the same year, was a monumental initiative aimed at rebuilding war-torn Europe. While ostensibly an economic recovery plan, the Marshall Plan also served as a strategic tool in the geopolitical chess game between the superpowers. The offer of economic assistance to Eastern European countries was extended, but the Soviet Union, viewing it as a form of Western encroachment, pressured its satellite states to reject the aid. The emergence of the Truman Doctrine and the Marshall Plan crystallized the divisions of the Cold War, transforming it from a latent rivalry into an overt ideological and geopolitical struggle. The Iron Curtain, a metaphorical and physical divide between the democratic West and the communist East, descended upon Europe, symbolizing the deepening schism in the post-war world. The origins of the Cold War were rooted in the complex interplay of ideologies, territorial ambitions, and post-war reconstruction plans. The wartime alliance, born out of necessity, unraveled in the face of irreconcilable differences. The ideological clash between communism and capitalism, aggravated by geopolitical tensions and the specter of nuclear weapons, set the stage for a protracted and bitter Cold War. The events of 1945 to 1947 laid the foundation for the geopolitical landscape of the second half of the 20th century, shaping the destinies of nations and reshaping the contours of global power.